Hello and welcome back to Money is Blind podcast. I'm your host Prasoon and today we'll be talking about Neuralink. So this is like the third episode that I am talking about Neuralink. You might have heard about it. It is a company founded by Elon Musk and is trying to create brain computer interfaces. So what are these brain computer interfaces? You might have seen the movie The Judgment Day, Terminator the Second. So in that movie, Arnold plays a cyborg who comes from the future, and Neuralink is trying to create something just like that. So our brain is a very complicated structure. Every everything a human body can do, every thought, every emotion, every action, it is controlled by the brain. When I am speaking into the microphone right now, the thoughts are first created in a part of my brain, and these thoughts are in the form of electrical signals which travels through cells in the brain which are called neurons. Now, in order to make an output, in order for me to create this sound, these words, speech needs to be produced. For that, areas in the temporal cortex, which are parts of your temple, the part of your skull just above your ears, areas in that part of the brain gets excited, gets stimulated, and they create an electrical signal which are taken through other neurons and bundles of neurons called nerves to tongue and other muscles in and around the mouth, and they move these muscles. Tongue is a muscle, and all the other muscles moves or get contracted and relaxed according to the electrical signals that they receive from these nerves which originate from the brain. That is called the motor pathway. Motor means thoughts in the brain gets converted into electrical signals, and they are transported through nerves called motor neurons or motor nerves to the muscles which contract and makes the action possible. And brain is not just capable of doing things, doing motor activities, but it is also capable of collecting, processing, analyzing, storing senses. That means when I touch my finger, when you hear my voice, your ears pick up the voice and converts it into electrical signals and then carries it through other nerves to different parts of your brain. It's the same way how our eyes work. It collects light from our eyes, converts it into electrical signals at the back of your eye at a place called retina, and then it travels through optic nerve to different parts of the brain which are excited. And that part of the brain is called visual cortex, and it takes up almost 30% of the whole brain. Now, Neuralink is trying to record how these neurons are getting excited, how much these neurons are getting excited by implanting, which they call the link inside the brain. And from the link, from the chip, they send small minute threads into the brain. They insert it, and these threads, these are microfiber like structures which can't be seen with naked eyes, and which cannot be implanted by human hands, and so they use robots to do these type of surgeries. And these threads contain hundreds and thousands of electrodes, which can be compared to neurons, and these electrodes are capable of delivering microvolts, small currents, to parts of our brain wherever these electrodes go. So these electrodes can collect information and it can also be used to stimulate the neurons and parts of the brain. So right now, what are they working on? When when a disabled person, let's say a quadriplegic person, someone who cannot move any of his limbs, neither his upper limbs or his lower limbs, will be dependent on another person to use computers and mobile phones, right? So they will be able to access computers to move cursors in computers and to select double tap. They can't do it. So these thoughts, the intent, the desire to move the cursor to select a particular section in the mobile phone, these thoughts are converted and picked up by the electrodes and then sent to the link which is implanted in their brain. And this link communicates through Bluetooth to external devices, the mouse, the keyboard, or the computer or the smartphone, and they will be able to navigate these devices just by using their thoughts. That's what they are working on right now. And you might be thinking that doing a surgery, putting something inside the brain is invasive. Yes, it is invasive. Of course, it is invasive. But Neuralink says that in order to get more detailed understanding of how the neurons work and which neurons are getting excited up to what level, they need to collect the information from the neurons itself. We have other type of tests which are called electroencephalogram or EEG, video EEG. There are several other tests which are non-invasive, which places electrodes on the scalp, on the skin over your head, and these collect electrical signals from the neurons. But Neuralink compares collecting information from electrodes placed on the skin of the skull, like listening to a football match from outside the stadium using microphones which are placed outside the stadium. You will be able to understand when the crowd cheers and boos, but the level of understanding will be little. At the same time, when you do the same, when you are inside the stadium and watching the game as an audience, you will be able to get more details. What exactly happened on the pitch? What exactly happened on the ground? So for that, the microphone or the sensing device should be inside the stadium. And it is the same argument that Neuralink uses to implant computer chips inside our brain. Right now, they are working on making smartphones and computer devices accessible to persons with motor impairment. But when other parts of the brain can be studied, like the visual cortex or the auditory cortex, or even the parts of the brain which stores memory, Neuralink would be on the forefront to empower all persons who have these kind of disabilities. So this is like a quick update on what Neuralink does. If you are onto assistive technology and accessibility, this is something that you can be hopeful for in the coming years, in the next 5 or 10 years. That's it. That's it for this episode. I'll be talking to you tomorrow. You guys take care. Bye bye.